Okay, everybody, we're about to get started. My name is Martin Cordova. I'm sure all you guys know me. I'm the new president of the HOA. And I'm here accompanied by all the board members and one of our management team members as well, Rachel Mead. We decided to do this town hall for question and answers because since we took over, we've been able to look into the finances with more detail, and a lot of questions have come up, especially with the hurricane season coming to an end. A lot of questions about what we should do next year have came up, and we wanted to be transparent with all of you and let you know what our train of thought was and how we're going to get or whatever we're going to get for next year, and kind of see what the opinion of the owners are as well. That being said, as you guys know, I don't know how long everybody's been living here, but VSO was created in 2001, and I was searching through property appraisers, snooping around, and I realized that some of the original owners that purchased their properties in 2003 are still here, which is impressive. And I met some of them, and I had no idea how long they've been living here, and it's interesting. But the community was designed very beautifully. It has a lot of features. I think all of us have seen this intrinsic beauty from the minute we bought our houses here. And I think this board, that's our goal, is to bring it back to what it used to be, and hopefully in the long run, even better. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that I've had a lot of questions being asked about around hurricane season. What does the HOA actually do for the townhomes? Primarily, my talk today is going to be about townhomes because they're the ones that are going to be the most affected, but the entire membership has the right to know what's going on. And therefore, everyone's invited to participate in the meeting in any way they can. So the obligations of the HOA, meaning what do our documents and what does Florida statute ensure that we have to do for the township? Right now, our understanding, and anyone can let us know if we missing something, is that on our third amendment to our CC&R, the developer obligated us to an annual inspection of all the townhomes. So every year, the roof and the exterior of the townhomes needs to be inspected for everything, for any damages, any maintenance issues, anything that needs repair. The results of this inspection is supposed to prompt us to initiate those repairs and maintenance and make sure that they're being well maintained. Unfortunately, I believe that those inspections have not been done, at least in turnover. And therefore, I believe there was one inspection, roof inspection that was done with a drone maybe a year or two ago, which doesn't really provide a lot of information with regards to the status of the roofs. But nevertheless, that is our intent. We want to make sure that these inspections are done every year before hurricane season, so we can implement the repairs and the maintenance that needs to be done so that we can face the storm season as prepared as possible. Secondly is the paint. Paint is something that the builder, I think, kind of didn't splurge on because some of the newer buildings need more paint than the older buildings. But, you know, on average, the buildings will need to be repainted every 5 to 7 years. I'm not sure when was the last time the buildings were painted. I know the ones at Villa Palma, because they were done not too long ago because the paint looks pretty good. But there's a lot of them that need to be painted at this time. Trees, as many of you have reported, that there's a lot of trees that have matured. There's roots growing into the foundations of some of the townhomes, and some of them are coming over into the windows. And so those trees have to be taken care of on a yearly basis so that doesn't happen. And if they become problem trees, they need to be removed, and we need to replace them with trees that won't be problem trees in the long run. The exteriors, right? You know, anything cosmetic, gutters, sprinklers, all these things are things that we have to provide for the townhomes to make sure that their landscaping stays in good shape. And lastly, you know, part of the maintenance is washing your roofs, washing the buildings. I walk around the townhomes and I see a lot of them with like green algae growing on the sides of the building. The roofs are really black. And that takes away from the beauty of our community, especially, on the main road where people see it more obviously. But for all those reasons, all these things cost money, unfortunately. And they also, as everybody knows, everything's more expensive nowadays. Okay, next slide. So there's also something called reserve studies. So these are professionals that basically assess how long you have to make the repairs and the replacements that need to, how much life the different components of the building and the roof have. And they make a determination, basically a prediction of how much money we're going to need to be able to do these things in a timely manner. That was never done up until December of 2021. So those numbers came back pretty robust. And prior to 2021, the HOA was not making good deposits into your reserves. I believe I looked at the 2021 and 2022. I believe they put like $12,000 in 2021. 2022, I think it's 28,000. And that's just not enough for 31 buildings. You guys have more in reserves from previous years, but we just haven't been contributing enough. The reserve study, one of my colleagues is going to talk more about the details of it, but the important thing to know is that when these reserve studies are done, the board is not compelled to do the right thing for the community, and that is to try to figure out how we're going to save this money that we need for the future. So this is a quick window of where we were and where we are today with regards to our assessments. So from 2010 to 2015, that's what we paid. The houses paid 152, the townhomes paid 237. There was no increases during that 5-year period. The developer in 2016 increased the assessments for the single family for the operating expenses to 174.50. However, back in 2018, after the developer turned the property back to the homeowners, they decided to lower it back to 161.63. So the message is that in the last 12 years, we really haven't increased anything to accommodate for the expenses that we have. So these are the actual raw numbers of what we actually collect from assessments, so that there's transparency, you guys understand, what is happening, okay? So the important thing is that the townhome assessment, they pay what all the other houses pay for the operating, and then they pay an extra $96 for everything that I mentioned, for maintenance, for roof cleaning, for sidewalk maintenance, paint, all the things that they need is $96 a month per unit, which is, it's very low services that need to be provided. This is just a glimpse of what I was saying, that everything's going up. This is the cost of living in Florida. If you see, over the period of the last 11 years, our cost of living went up at least 18% average. And even in the last year, it's got another 5%. So we're behind in terms of increasing our assessments. Otherwise, we would have more money for the townhomes. Okay. I'm going to stop right here. This is kind of just letting you know the picture of what we're looking at. Marcelo's going to talk now more about the reserve study and kind of give us some actual numbers that you guys can think about.
Hello, everybody. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is that I'm a townhome owner. And when I look at these numbers, I couldn't believe it, because it was my understanding that every month we were putting money towards the funds needed to roofs, paintings, and everything else. And that's not the case. And it hasn't been for a long time. And when it was just a fraction of what was needed. So, a little bit of background about the research study. It was conducted by the end of last year, December 2021. As Mario said, it should have been done years before. They made a non-invasive inspection, which is on the visual. They go, they look, and based on what they saw, they determined that, okay, it looks like this roof's are going to be they're going to be replaced by X number of years. And just by looking at those situations in each of these buildings, they determine how much money we're going to need to replace roofs, to paint, to wash, and all those kind of things. So the fact that it was a non-invasive inspection, we need to consider that because it might be the case that eventually we might find something additional when we go into it that's not here. The goal of this study was to maintain reserves above the adequate and needed levels for 2 years. In case anything happens and needs to be repaired, we have money for 2 years. Now, they set a goal to get that money in 30 years. From now to 30 years, 29 years today, we should have the money to have everything we need for 2 years in case we need. And here's the key recommendation. So by 2051, they say that we should have in our fund reserve over $2 million. At that moment, we're going to have the money needed for 2 years of anything that might happen, anything that might be needed to change or replace. Okay. We might have to do some things before 2051, obviously, and that's contemplated here as well. So by 20, with the money that we need, we're going to start collecting. We're going to have money to do the things we need to do now, and by 2051, have that money on the books. Okay. So they look at 2 different ways to collect the money. One is what they call the cash flow system, and the other one is the component. So basically, the biggest difference here is that cash flow is all the money goes to one account, and we can use it to whatever needs we have, whether it's washing or whether it's replacing the roofs or whatever. The other, the component, is they create accounts for specific things. One account is for roofing, the other one is for washing, the other one is for paint, and they estimate how much money is needed for each of these things. And that money cannot be used for anything else, right? So the money stays there until there's need to change it, right? You're going to see the difference in the numbers too.
¿Ya? ¿Tienen alguna pregunta?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, so the cash flow method basically tells us that we need to increase our research funding next year by $175,000, give or take. Okay. So if we collect that money in 2023, we are in the right path to get to those 2 million by 2020. And we keep doing that year after year, right? The other method, the component.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. The component will require basically $80-something, $80,000 or 134 to 1 to 254. So this one is more expensive. And the reason is each bucket has its own account and that money cannot be used for anything else. Right? The other one, the cash flow, we calculate the money, or they calculate the money, and they say, okay, we need this much money. And they assume that not every year we're going to need to change everything. And therefore, we might be able to use some of that money that was supposed to be for something else that was not needed to use that year for something that was needed for that specific year. So basically, it's a better use of money and it's cheaper for us. So the cash flow is a pool system versus separate accounts. The can use the funds as needed versus the funds are locked until we have a specific need. And the difference is about $80,000, right? Which is something that I think, given the economy, is probably the best option for us at this moment, right? So we're gonna have to look at this, and when we talk about the budget on Thursday, we don't have the final numbers yet because arguments haven't done it yet, but we're gonna have the numbers by Thursday, and by then we're gonna know how much money we're gonna need to increase our monthly payments to allocate this money to this fund to be able to do all the things that our townhomes need. Okay? Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Where is the money that was allocated for the townhouses? Because I have been living here and they didn't provide any maintenance to the roads or all these things that I just realized in this meeting that they are obligated to. Where is the money? They use it, but where? We need to do the auditory as soon as possible because we are talking about our money. And we need to know where is the money. I need to know that. And I know that many of the townhouse owners have the same question. I'm telling you, I formally request the auditory. Now, this is the request.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer. I don't have it.
We will have it.
But
Yes.
but we should have it. Definitely. My guess is that they chose not to increase payments and to find other ways to collect the money through fines, violations, different things. Maybe, I don't know, that's my guess. I may be wrong here. But to avoid any conflicts, maybe they decided not to go that route. And at the end of the day, they bet that nothing bad happened and we were not going to need the money to make any repairs or whatever. I think that's what my opinion. I don't have any facts, so I may be wrong here, but I think that's what happens.
To answer your question, we will look into why
Yes.
that, and we'll have an answer for you at some point. Right now, we don't have it, but right now, we're just gonna discuss where we're at today and where we need to go.
No, I'm just surprised because I just realized it through the slideshows what they were obligated to do and they didn't do it. So I'm surprised and I'm asking where is the money for that?
Yeah.
The money, so we have money in the reserve.
There is some money in the reserves, yes.
No.
There are some, but there are many years that I have been living
Yeah,
here.
but I think in all fairness, when the developer was under control, he decided how much he puts for that. And he was the one getting things done, so I don't know why, how much he actually put in. I'd have to look at what the numbers were at turnover, but from 2018, from the turnover, so that's 4 years, I know that what has been put in is not enough. And that's probably why it hasn't been done. Yeah. You got another slide?
So, bottom line, there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of. And we don't really have the money to do it, so we just got to collect the money. That's the bottom line.
Thank you, Marcelo.
When
Yes.
you talk about that, when you talk about we don't have enough money, that's the money that wants to the HOA or the money to the CTV.
We're talking HOA right now.
You have HOA.
Right now, we're talking HOA, yes.
And now.
And this is townhomes.
Zero.
Well, we're talking, everybody can participate, but when we're talking about the reserves, we're talking about the townhomes. Yeah.
Because they don't all pay attention money one, different than the house.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You're gonna pay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, not to use the roof and.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the people that live in the house, I have to pay for my own thing.
correct.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sorry, I apologize for being late.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Marcel.
Yeah, sure.
So at the end of the day, we can't make up numbers. We can't produce money. Right? We're a nonprofit. The money has to come from the homeowners, unfortunately, and, you know, we're trying to do the best that we can to keep the assessments as low as possible, but we also don't want to be trying to make money up, you know? And even for the single family homes, you know, just the cable bill and landscaping bill eats up almost 80% of our budget. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, because they say, you know, $161 sounds like a lot of money for a month, but when you get all these services, they're also very expensive services that need to be paid, and they're only going up. So, you know, when we looked at the budget for the previous years, we realized that, you know, they've been running a little bit on the deficit side. They've been counting with money they don't really are sure they're going to collect, but they're hoping they're going to collect it. And, you know, people being late, people with violations, all this money, they always gave a line item for that. Yes, sir.
Mario, let's talk about the cable. But it is clearly that we pay too much for cable. I just don't understand how that thing works. There is somebody in the middle that is getting on the money for the contract or something like that.
Well, yeah, our contract is with VSO Broadband, which is a third party, and they subsidize it from Spectrum. Right, we as owners have had no say in that contract at all. I mean, that was a developer contract that was transferred to us, and, you know, we got 6 years left on the contract.
And there is no way we can go.
Well, there's a lot going on right now with regards to that. I can't talk about it because it's legal, but, you know, as soon as we can talk about it, I'll be happy to share that information. But, you know, right now, we're just committed to the contract for the next 6 years. Okay? Anything else? Anybody online? Anything?
Well, so pretty much, you know, I know the townhomes, need a lot of work, and, you know, pretty much, that's what we're gonna be concentrating, just to bring you guys, the service that you're supposed to get, you know, the inspection that you're supposed to get, but all that, you need money for it, right? And, you know, that's what we're gonna be talking Thursday more on the budget, but, you know, pretty much you guys gotta get everything that you deserve on your property. You know, they're gonna be well managed.
I understand the situation, but it's very frustrating because I have been asking for maintenance for almost 3 years via emails, and I never received the service. I never received any of the service. The roof is inside my home. It's a mess. And in my case, and I know that I speak for many owners, townhomes owners, the audit is necessary because we need to know where our money was directed, because we didn't receive the service.
Yeah, and that's something that the board will do. We're gonna collect bids and get the proper CPA to do, and it's nothing just to find nothing negative. It's not just to make sure we have all the money accounted for and to move forward, you know, because that's it, you know, the past is the past, and then just move forward, you know, but you guys will know exactly this is what we got, this is what we, then, you know, but the audit will be done.
I need the right to know where is the money that we pay, and to analyze why the townhouses are in the condition that they are, because they are not in good condition. And I'm not talking about the apartment only. I'm talking about
you're right.
the townhouse, the entire.
Yes.
So there's a lot of communities that have, unfortunately, because everybody gets townhomes are beautiful, they have the best of a house and, not having to do all the things that you have to do for a house. But problems that townhomes face is that if there's no standard procedures for workers, and there's no painting schedule, there's no roofing schedule, then a lot of communities will collect the money and they'll collect it on the low side and just keep it vague, not really perform the services on schedule or let homeowners know how to put the workers in. And so the money will sit there until those processes and procedures get developed. I think that's kind of where we are right now.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and that's very important, when you need services, everything works differently now. Don't email me, don't email any of the board members, put your work order in. The right people will get the email and things will move forward. Now, if you put in work orders and they're not being addressed, that's when we want to know about it. Because that's where our accountability comes. We want to make sure things are getting done. And, we can't keep track on every work order, but if people tell us that they're having trouble getting stuff done, then we can try to figure out what happened. Okay? Well, that's all we have, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for all your time. I hope that this information helps. It's basically an education opportunity. Just so you guys understand that, being in our shoes is not always just smiling and having social events. We have to also face the hard things, and sometimes we have to make tough decisions that we don't want to make, but it's for the better of our community.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
and we really want to do all these things, the roofs, the cleaning, the washing, the painting. We do want to do these things. I want to, because it's my house too.
Yeah, the same, he leaves it right there.
So we want to do it.
I'm not going to speak management, but I have more than 100 emails requiring the service that you presented today. And they were obligated.
Well, so
It's very frustrating for us as the owner that we requested and didn't provide it.
So to that point, I think two things happened in the past. One was the board, and the other one was the management company. I had the same situation. I had a tree, the roots starting almost inside my house. They came, they cut the tree, they left the roots are still growing, So things were bad. We're trying to change. We're trying to do things the right way. And you won't believe us, guys, but I've been with the board like 2 or 3 months already. They've been here doing this for like a year already, trying to get up to speed with what was going on. And every time we meet, I find something new, and I'm like, how is this possible? How is this possible?
It's frustrating.
Right?
It's
When
frustrating.
you start talking about the budget, that's when I realized that we haven't been collecting money. I didn't know that.
It's frustrating, it's shocking in some ways. There hasn't even been an increase for cost of living, right? We haven't seen and kept up with the basic cost of living, and no, and we had numbers. Even that, like you should expect the cost of living every year, a little bit to try to keep up with what's going on. And not even that happening.
But there's no
It's a shock.
information report today. That's why I didn't know what they really was obligated, because they ignored or like hundreds of emails asking for service that I was paying for. And I really don't care if I have to pay more for a good service in my home. I really don't care if the service is done. I feel frustrated because we have been paid for a service that wasn't provided. So that's why it's my interest to know where the money.
And so what you're saying is, when the service hasn't been provided for this long, it's a lot more expensive to make it happen. Because like the roofs, but they're not as dirty as they are now. they charge more if they're gonna use more chemicals, it's gonna take more, there's more liability to them too.
You know, what the list that I was reading was done in my townhouse. None of them.
When the maintenance- when the
It's not an
maintenance-
investigation for the monies.
No, we're gonna do a audit, yeah.
After the audit, after the audit.
Now, basically, we find out what the money is, who took it, who keep it, whatever.
But you gotta realize
We have
too,
to pay some money for that. I'm saying somebody's giving them.
It makes it harder too when
Yeah.
the maintenance occur, because then, instead of doing everything timely, we have to now start from the roof and come down, and we can't clean everything if we're not sure if the paint is protected. You know, all that stuff. We can't do the landscaping because it'll just get messed up, so we have to work from the top down now, instead of maintaining it and just doing small touch-ups.
Yes, I understand.
and here's the good news. We're here to make it better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're
And
doing.
that's great.
Right. So,
We have to know if somebody was liable for mismanagement of our money, and this is important for us.
and that's coming. It comes with time and with the.
If that happens, yeah.
I'm happy with that. I have no problem if I have to pay for more than the output. I have no problem with that.
Whatever we find out, we'll share it all.
Yeah.
I appreciate
And
that.
then management is there to make sure everything is good. The lawyer is there to make sure everything is good. So, everything's gonna be.
We got a good team. We got the boat turned around,
Yeah.
heading in the right direction.
This board, that board has been working, I don't know, now, and they have been working, I think, one night now.
I have come out. I know what happened, I know what happened before, and I know everything. But it is very important to find out what happened, and if somebody was liable, not to pay for it.
Hopefully you'll come to the meeting on Thursday night and be able to kind of, round up the town homeowners and help them understand what's best, because it is, if the board hasn't decided what we're doing yet, that's their due diligence that they need to finish in the next couple days, but hopefully, we have a town homeowner on the board and you who understand the importance of maintaining the investment. So we kind of need to have, people that understand the audience.
And I appreciate that you explained to all about all those things that I know that many owners have no information about what is the obligation of
So,
the
make
installation.
Make sure right here then on the 17th, is there recording.
Outside.
All right.
It's very black and white. And then they tend to keep the assessments, they falsify and make it lower so that they can continue to sell homes. And then when the homeowners take over after the turnover, they try to find cost savings. And they do that, they go through all the contracts, and they find cost savings, but the caveat with that is that it was lower than what it's supposed to be anyway. So even if they manage to balance out the budget, they still have to continue to increase. So,
But remember too, that developers, they have connections and they get things done a lot cheaper than we can. We have to get contractors to work. They have subcontractors they can work with and just get it done. So it doesn't cost them the same. So they have a way of saving a lot more money than we do. But anyway, thank you everybody for participating. Thank you everybody that's watching this video. Let us know your feedback, through the usual channels, and hopefully everybody will attend November 17th, which is next Thursday, for our official HOA board meeting. And hopefully we can make a decision and do the right thing for our community. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.